Hello, everybody. I am Will.
And I'm Kristen.
And this is why I'm watching True Blood, Season 1, Episode 9.
Oh, shit. Sorry. I navigated away and now it's French.
Oh, shit. I navigated away. It does sound like a episode title.
Plaisir d'amour.
So, one of my favorite things about this show is that it is one of the more standard 12-episode runs.
I think that's what I was that's why I navigated away. Yes, it is 12 because I remember we were debating if it was 12 or 13.
It turns to 10. I think like the last two seasons are 10. But I do largely prefer my shows that way. However, on occasion, it does leave something to be desired. I think they do a great job with Amy. I think that because there's two Amys.
Well, they are doing what they intended to do with Amy.
There's a line where she literally said, and I'm a person who a lot of bad stuff's happened to, so I deserve this. Mm-hmm. And that's just it. We should see that. She shouldn't tell us that.
Sure.
And so it's the kind of thing that it's like, given her role in this broader story, we have the right amount of her, but there's a handful of very heavy expositional lifting that it's like if she were here the whole time, because they're treating her like she's Dawn Green. And
she's taken over Dawn's
like
waitressing position. Yeah.
And again, I like it, but there's a part of me where it's like, and maybe it's because we're only somehow still just getting to know these people.
Yeah.
Because like Hoyt can't catch a break. He's getting it from Jason.
Yeah.
Why was Jason so mean to him? With the tree, with the jackhammer?
Well,
that's a different.
So Jason tackled Renee while he was operating the jackhammer, which is extremely dangerous. That's how you lose a fucking leg. And then Hoyt called him Jay. He was like, "Hey, what's going on, Jay?" And he was like a whole dumb boy thing about, "We're on the football team. If you weren't on the football team, you don't call me Jay." And he's like,
"Ryan Quanten, when did you get here?" I'm transported.
You pinpoint the difference between what I just did and what he did.
I'm serious.
So I don't know. And then he got it from Tara in the last episode, which we didn't really talk about.
Because he was like, "You sure look pretty, Tara." And she's like, "Eat shit and die, you honky ass." Like, I was like,
she just said, "Fuck you." But he was like, "That color sure looks pretty on you," because she was wearing like a really nice purple, and it's just
because I think that that's the issue is Sam thinks he's Hoyt. It's like Sam is such a hello, milady.
Yeah,
but like Hoyt
is
really
like an
is
actual nice man, like an actual nice person.
But no, because there are two Amys.
Yeah.
When she's having these conversations with the people at the bar and stuff, I'm like, oh, and I mean, you could also make, I mean, this would still stand even if she was in more episodes. But I was gonna say, you can make the argument that that's what addiction is. That's what addiction does.
Yeah.
Because when she's dealing with, I don't remember his name, Stephen Root, she is
Eddie.
Yeah. When she's dealing with Eddie, it's bone chilling.
So they are like, so Jason and Amy are like romping in the like meadow outside of Jason's house, and Eddie is screaming from the basement of the house, and Jason is like rightfully like, "Well, shouldn't we do something like feed him?"
Because we need this from Jason. He needs grounding and a moral compass.
So that's the thing. I was doing the same thing with Jason that I was doing with Tara, where I was like, I really like Jason, and I was conflating further in the seasons Jason with Jason right now, and like Jason up to this point sucks 100%. But this is where he starts having the turning point, because he gets to talking to Eddie and like sort of hears his life story, how he became a vampire, like his whole deal and everything.
Well, it's Stockholm syndrome.
Yeah, he goes out and like opposite Stockholm syndrome.
It's like they say that you're like, yes, correct, because Eddie's the one captive. Yeah. But it's like they say that if you can endear yourself to your captor,
So it's like, I like all of that, and then he gets to the point where he goes out and buys him True Blood, and Amy, because like Jason is like, even if he's like not a person, it's like an alive thing.
He's like, I still put gas in my car.
Yeah.
And it's
an apt metaphor.
I was gonna say, talk about bone chilling. Yeah, because I was like, you're so close to getting it, and yet you're still comparing it, like objectifying.
Well,
like, no, I know it's a good metaphor, but
he's correct because also Amy is thinking about this so short-sightedly, where Jason is like, won't he die if we don't feed him? In which case, then the tap of our V is turned off. We're gonna have to do this again. And Amy's just like, who cares? He's not a person.
Because it's wild how, like, when she's lubed up, she's so zen and present.
Yeah.
And so it's like the dichotomy between the two versions of her. Because I'm sitting here thinking, I'm like, because this is literally either the first time she's ever done this or the 100th time she's done this.
There is no in between.
Do you know what I mean? I'm like, she either goes from town to town to town doing this, or she's just sort of like, I don't know. It's the two versions of her are crazy to me. And I don't know. I think that because I also think that Jason and Eddie, although they did a good job with it here. I was gonna say I felt like they blew through that, like they bonded too quickly. But no, I think it works.
To me, it makes sense. Because that's the thing is, like, Jason at the heart of his character is not a bad person. He's having a hard time right now, but he is, I think, at his core, a good person, and he can't just let Eddie be there in pain. And so he helps him, and then he hurts his back, and then they just get to talking.
He also, it's like, this is a factor for many people on the show. They're dealing with things out of their league.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah, because Amy is a straight up sociopath, and Jason doesn't know how to handle that.
And that's what Eddie's like.
She's a psycho.
But no, I mean, just because it's like, and again, this is where I understand the vampire to sex, the vampire to drug metaphor, but you can't inspect it too much because drugs have a hold over people, but drugs aren't literal magic. Right. And so it's like the fact that Jason's tweaking out on magic drugs is like, we're never really getting we're never getting baseline Jason. Right. Like there's always another factor. Yeah. And there's also something coming in play that I know that I wasn't going to mention, but I pointed it out to you, where I was like, there's an additional plot explanation for kind of why he is the way that he is with women.
Yes, for sure.
And even growing up with Sookie as his sister, you know, it's interesting and strange. So Bill is being summoned
to a tribunal.
They said it so loud in the bar.
Inside Merlotte. Well, we start out the episode with Long Shadow trying to bite Sookie, and Bill stakes him with like a beer tap. Like a tap handle. It's
so funny that shot because it's so deliberate.
Yeah.
The like gore, but also pornography of it all, because Anna Paquin is like,
like, she really is, and her tits are in that dress are like up here,
and it's just it's kabuki. It's very heightened.
Yeah. So, and then she is covered in blood, head to toe, and Ginger is just shrieking in the background. Amazing.
Well, I had forgotten that Ginger's that way because she's been glamored one too many times. Yeah. Her like brain is fried.
Yeah.
And that's staggering, the implications there, because it's played for comedy in a way that's very sad.
It's not great. Poor Ginger.
But Pam, I forgot how fully formed Pam was.
Yeah. We also find out that she's younger than Bill, which I had forgotten. I had thought she was.
I remember it because it felt so wrong. That's why I remember it. Because I'm like, she felt like she came from the old world with Eric. And because we literally in later seasons see her turned.
Yeah.
And it's like it's like,
it's 1905.
And I'm like,
I looked it up. It's 1905.
It's like, I don't like that.
Yeah, I don't know. I actually, it makes me kind of like it because I like that she took so easily to the vampire life.
Mm-hmm. Well, her and Eric are they have like a soulmate bond.
Yeah. Well, and Pam also deliberately chose it.
Okay, I didn't remember that.
If I'm remembering it correctly, Eric was like a customer, and she was like...
She was a madam or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Spoilers.
It's so far down the line.
It really is. Isn't it like season 5?
5 or 6, yeah.
But yeah, so she understands the appeal of Sookie, and then they bring in Chow.
Mm-hmm.
He's around for a minute, isn't he?
I believe he's around for a minute. It's Patrick Gallagher, who was, I think, the gym coach on Glee, right?
Okay, he was very familiar. But basically, because Bill killed a vampire, and especially because his explanation was to save a human, albeit Eric's being obtuse, because I'm like,
yeah,
you're the first one to admit she's a special human.
Also, okay, yeah, let's break this down for a minute, because so Long Shadow was a vampire, fine. He stole $60,000 from you and presumably would have kept doing it. Meanwhile, Sookie is psychic and has been useful to you multiple times, including sorting out that it was Long Shadow, and you want her on retainer. She's clearly more valuable than the person who's stealing from you.
Although Bill brought up a good point where he was like, if one of you killed another one of you for one of us, there would be a conversation about it. So, I mean, it is true regardless. I just don't think Eric needed to report it. Something tells me that, like, the vampire bureaucracy is light.
It's loose. Well, that's the other thing, too. It's like, it's the plot holiest part of this episode for me, because Eric is like, you shouldn't have done what you did in front of witnesses. And I was like, let's count the people in the room. Eric, Pam, Bill, Sookie, and Ginger are the people who survived this scene. If you can glamour it out of Ginger, none of these other 4 are going to, like, be the problem.
But we get the sense that Eric has it out for Bill.
A little, but it kind of, like, it doesn't make sense.
And again, spoiler, it's not like they make him meet the sun or anything.
Right.
I mean, they threaten him with that, but
they do, but it's like what he ends up having to do is, like, not actually, I mean, it's not great, but it's not.
It's like awful at first, and then it's like stupid, and then it's amazing.
But the thing about it is, like, it actually is the worst punishment for Bill.
Absolutely.
He would rather die. But I don't know. It just is it doesn't make a lot of sense, because up to this point, we know that Bill and Eric know each other, but I don't even remember if we ever come to find out that, like, they have beef for a reason. You know what I mean? So it's
I don't remember.
Why does Eric have it out for him? And they end up being, like, pretty serious
allies. That's a good point.
For, like,
That's a good point. I don't remember if they do have beef outside of Sookie. So
it's bizarre.
Eric feels like he has artistic temperament.
Sure.
He's prone
He's
to...
just capricious.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like ruining your life today. How about that?
And he just is lurking through Merlotte's, standing feet above everyone else.
So fucking tall.
And he also, so he knows that, like, Tweedledee and Tweedledum and Tweedledoofus, like, did that.
And Amy is worried that he can sense that she kidnapped Eddie. But he doesn't even make eyes at her.
No, it's very Hans Landa and Shoshana.
Yeah.
It's very sort of like, I literally just told Will, because I brought that up, but I was watching the opening scene of it the other day. It was on, and I forgot that Christoph Waltz, that Landa says squirrel.
Oh, yeah.
In the opening scene, because he compares it. And I was like, now that I know that Germans have a hard time with that word, he really hits it. It's like squirrel. And it's just so funny to me.
Like that stupid YouTube video where they just all are like, squirrel.
Well, because they just say scroll.
Yeah. It's also funny. There's, like, a whole bunch of TikToks that I've seen of, like, Scottish people trying to say, like, burglar.
Really?
If they cannot do it.
You're going to have to show me that.
It's so fucking funny.
But I almost feel like Tarantino wrote it into the script because of that. Like, he had to have stumbled upon.
Maybe.
And you know that Christoph Waltz was like, not on my watch.
Because he technically is Austrian, but it's so similar that it's like.
So, True Blood.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Bill's being summoned.
Yeah.
He tells Sookie. Well, he tells Sam to watch over her. And the heavy implication there is he just knows. He knows. Okay. I didn't know if that was...
He has to know. And then we find out in this episode, we've made allusions to it. Sam is the dog. He is a shapeshifter.
It's so funny.
It's super funny. The little dog, though, he is so cute.
Dean
turns his little head away while
I'm surprised he didn't.
While she's changing, which is respectful. I'll give him that 1 ounce of credit. But yeah,
it's just like I genuinely cannot remember watching it the first time because I knew we knew, but I think it's that thing.
Well, I was not sure. You were sure, and I was like, not. He's always with the dog, though. And then
I kind of remember being sure, but it's that thing where it's like sometimes we've talked about it recently because we talked about it with Death on the Nile, and then it goes back to season 1 of Westworld, where it's like sometimes people treat figuring out a reveal, people treat it like it's a failing on the show, and sometimes it's just rewarding for the audience.
Yeah.
Because we're watching that scene, and but the way it's being filmed, we are like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
And then just to have her wake up and to have Sam naked.
Totally nude. And plus, he's also run from Andy Belfleur, who, again, it doesn't make sense that he's investigating this nudist colony thing because he has called up the Texas nudist colony and they've been like, we've never had a Merlotte here.
So one thing that I will allow, because I do remember Andy becoming a more neutral to likable character. Yeah. So if this is actually just speaking towards his prowess as a detective, then I'll allow it. Yeah. But it's like they're painting him as bumbling.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, why are you so honed in on this?
Yeah. And also, I feel like we get the reveal.
And he was present when the streaking happened.
Yes. And because Sam can't gaslight Andy into pretending it didn't happen. But I also, if I'm remembering correctly, I feel like Sam's family name isn't Merlotte anyway. I feel like because his family sucks, and I feel like he took up Merlotte after. I feel like his last name is something else.
Because we meet his brother.
We meet the whole family, but we keep his brother for a while.
We might just we're
gonna just plow.
We might just do this entire thing.
I'm gonna do it. I can feel it already. It's so good.
In my bones.
All the stuff with Eddie. I just love Stephen Root. So good.
It's very interesting. It's very effective, and I think it undoes a lot of the damage that I think Malcolm kind of.
Yeah. Well,
I also so it's like Diane. I didn't like Malcolm. Diane, I didn't particularly like, but that's such a look that I want that look on my like the gold chain top and the afro. And
I do think it was like weirdly, because again, it's been so long since I read them, but I think it's pretty accurate to the book. The first season, like most first seasons of shows like this are, but it does seem short-sighted to not keep them around for just like a smidge.
Well,
longer.
It feels unfitting, especially for Marcus, because he's presented as such a great menace.
Yeah, from like Dawn, or not Dawn, Maudette,
and Jason and all that. Yeah. So it feels very odd to take him out that way, and to have him be so memorable. I don't know. It was a choice.
Yeah.
The bad guy killed Sookie's cat.
Ugh,
and apparently cut its head off and took it. Ugh.
Tara is trying to get her own exorcism. She goes and has a whole conversation with Miss Jeanette.
I was a little defensive of Miss Jeanette at first, but she's upping her fee and it's getting more into the grifter.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, Miss Jeanette, I don't know if I can defend you here.
I actually don't remember how it 100% plays out.
I do.
Oh, you do? Okay. Mm-hmm. But Sam basically gave Tara the money because he was like, if it's what you feel is a proper, like, the bar is doing good, people in this town drink a lot, I can manage to, like, give you $800. He also comes to her with flowers to her house, and Letty Mae is like, he wants to fuck you, and that's it.
I mean, it's true, but true. Fountain of Wisdom, Oracle at Delphi. And then Sookie and Tara made up from their fight, but then Sookie sees Tara and Sam just raw dogging it in the office.
Well, she sees them kissing, but then they raw dog it in the office.
And so she's kind of like, you know what?
Fuck everyone.
It's a mess. This is what small towns are like.
Yeah, can't do it.
I do like the instinct. I think because you hear vampire, it's like an association game. You hear vampire, you say werewolf.
Yeah.
And I do like that that's not the first place we go.
Yeah, that like shapeshifter.
Like bringing in a skinwalker is like, whoa, that's kind of interesting. And if you like that, buckle up for season 2 because we got a deep dive coming your way.
So much. It's ridiculous. But I do also like, I guess we don't find out quite yet, but it's like the dog is like the inspiration for the like shape.
It's like his familiar or like, So the dog is real.
Yeah.
I think that's it.
I think that's it. Next time.